In today's episode, I interviewed Diana, mother, widow, daughter, business owner, and a badass woman. We talked about her journey through blogging, raising her kids post her husband's passing, and how she started her business to inspire other women. Get ready to have your cup poured into. Hi, Diana. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation today.
Hi, Shiva. No, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, and I will let the listeners know that we did have a conversation before, but unfortunately, shit happens and we are luckily able to meet again today and share an update about you, where you are with your business and life, and just hopefully be able to pour into someone else's cup.
Oh, for sure. No, I think, everything happens for a reason. And not to say I wasn't content with life then, but I think so much growth has happened where I feel like I'm at a place now in my life where I truly feel like I can be an inspiration to others. So it's all good.
So I like to start off the conversation. I know you, we've known each other going on now. Oh my gosh, it's probably been like 8 years
Yeah,
ish now. Cause like I think
it was 2020,
2012,
2012. Yeah, it was
13.
2013. Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
2013. That's right. Mhm.
Yeah. So it's been on like almost 7, 8 years ish. And whoa. So I know you, but I would love to just introduce you to listeners. So if you want to give a quick or a long summary about yourself, whatever you want to share, your background, and how you got to where you are today.
For sure. So, I will attempt to make this brief. My name is Diana Najera. I am 27 years old and I have two little boys, Caden and Eli. I am a widowed mother, so I am raising them on my own. I am from Florida. I've lived here like basically my whole life. I was in St. Louis for about 3, 4 years with my husband at that time. That is actually where I tapped into the digital marketing industry and I launched a blog. I worked with St. Louis Magazine. I was a style contributor for a little while, and then I moved back home to Florida when we were expecting our second child. And the good thing with the blog is, like as an influencer, you can be an influencer everywhere, right? So that continued over. And I was also the brand manager for Flourish Media, a small marketing business based out of Miami. I love self care, all things self care. I'm all about personal development and I'm a huge wellness and like health and fitness enthusiast. Oh, I'm a student as well. So I'm actually an entrepreneur and a student, which is kind of contradicting, but that's what I'm doing as of right now. So those are pretty much the basics.
And I do want to say, I feel like for you to be so young and have such like so many different places you traveled to or lived in, also things that you've done,
Mhm.
there's so many different ways I want to go with this. So like, how has blogging brought you to where you are?
Okay. Oh my goodness. Like that is literally like the foundation of everything. It's pretty crazy because when I first launched my blog, it's funny because the only reason I even wanted a blog was because I was a stay-at-home mom and I just felt like I wanted to connect with other stay-at-home moms and more so just share like my experiences as a first-time mom, right? And I didn't really know what came with that. I just thought I was going to write on my website and just share my blog posts and hopefully connect with, other women. Shortly after I launched, I started collaborating with brands on Instagram. Like it wasn't like it was now. I feel like it is like extremely saturated now, but back then, like around 2015, it was exclusive, for you to like work with like a brand. So we started off as brand reps. My son, he was a little brand rep, and I was just doing like product exchange for like an Instagram post or an Instagram shout out. So I was introduced to that. And then locally, I met with other bloggers nearby, and we started going to local events. And then like local places such as hotels or other businesses, they would reach out to me and they wanted to work with me. So then I started pitching myself because I realized at that point, like, oh, this is a thing. Like, I remember specifically, um, don't know their name. It's like a travel business. They work as like the middleman between like a travel destination and the influencer. And they had me go out to Kansas City, and they were telling me, like you'll have like an all-inclusive mini vacation, and we just need you to like write 3 blog posts, and like we're gonna do this. They had the entire itinerary set up, also like monetary compensation. And I remember when I told my husband, he thought it was a scam. And he's like, there's no way someone's gonna pay you this amount of money and pay for everything just for you to like go and take pictures and blog about it. But I mean, sure enough, that's what we did. And after that, I was like, you know what? Maybe like I can start pitching to different locations and like hotels. And that's what we did. So I wasn't only like working with brands like companies, but I was also traveling now and highlighting different cities, which was really cool. And from there, I just feel like the opportunities and the connections were, like endless. Like the potential, that vlogging brought to me, like it was just limitless.
Yeah, and I do think it's fair to say you are definitely an OG blogger. From the outside looking in, as someone who's been like on again, off again with blogging and trying to be confident and stepping into that space, I can definitely say that it has changed. Like you said,
Yeah.
blogging is not what it used to be, and
Mhm.
it's crazy. Just because I know like I was looking at some PR news and it was saying that I may be misquoting it, but influencer marketing is gonna be now like a $5 billion industry.
Oh my god.
Yes, to think a few years ago, this wasn't even like thought about as even like a career path that someone could do. And I think to attest to your point,
Mhm.
that was part of I think for me a fear or a setback is what is this gonna lead to? And then you have like your parents where they say like, "Oh, don't do that," or even how your husband was like, "This isn't real." Like
Mhm.
it's I look up to you in your confidence to just pursue it forth and not knowing what was on the other side, but it was something you wanted to do. You wanted to build community, so why not just see where it goes and look where it's landed you. So I think that's amazing.
Thank you so much. I heard someone say that, basically, in my own words, if you're truly passionate about something, even the smallest thing, like you are going to succeed at it. And that has stayed with me throughout all these years, because ever since I was a little girl, like I used to love to write and share like experiences with others and like motivate. I remember my friends would like come to me as kids, like literally like in middle school, and like they would have me like write their quotes on like MySpace and stuff, like inspirational little quotes, and like I would just make them up like off the top of my head. So I always knew like I wanted to build, like you said, like a community. I wanted to inspire or like empower women. I just didn't really know how to go about it. And I think by launching my blog, like these doors just opened up. I didn't really have to think too much of it. Like I was never like afraid of like failure, because I didn't really know like what I was gonna fail at. Like you said, I didn't really know what was on the other side. I was just kind of like going like through it, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely does. I think for someone like me who's very like type A, even like this pandemic threw me off because it's like, no, this is messing with the plan. It's Wednesday and I'm supposed to be doing this, but the pandemic is saying the gym's closed, so I can't go to the gym.
Mhm.
Or it's saying that this happened, so I can't do that. So it's just like, and you as well, I think we all are. It's not just you or me, but
Mhm.
being where since I was little, you're told like, okay, you need to go find a career. Are you going to be a teacher, doctor, lawyer, or this? And
Mhm.
it's like, oh, well, those careers are great, but none of those really speak to who I am. And I'm happy to be a part of this generation because half of the careers that I feel like my friends have around me are things that I feel like the generation before us. I don't want to say we're too afraid to do because I don't think that's what it was. I think they just
They didn't have the
they're like,
technology. Like you
yeah,
said, our generation, like we're just more creative minded. I think we have more of an
mhm,
what's the word? I don't want to say like more of an open mind, but we kind of do. I feel like we just expanded,
no, we do.
you know what I mean? Like our consciousness to like other things. And I don't know. There is for sure a difference though, because like you said, growing up, like they instilled that in me, the teachers, my family, like, oh, you're gonna go to college, you're gonna be like a nurse, or you're gonna do this. Like they wanted something traditional. And I tried it out. I was in college, when we met. And I mean, I'm in college now, but more now I'm in social media marketing. So it's something that I love, you know what I mean? So it's like everyone has their own path, and college back then wasn't for me. I still almost feel like it's not for me, to be completely honest with you, but because I am a single parent, I just want to have that to back me up. But honestly, like I just feel like the entrepreneur life is my calling.
And I agree with you because I remember going through college and I was just like, I just don't. I'm doing this because it feels like this is what I should be doing, but I'm not doing this because I'm happy to be doing it. When I worked in higher ed, I think the average age of a student was either, I know these numbers are nowhere near each other, but I think it was either 26 or 35.
Mhm.
And I noticed being in higher ed that students that were older got better grades than students fresh out of college. Because I feel like the students like you, where maybe they started off in college and then stopped and had a little bit of life, are
Mhm.
students who didn't even go straight to college right out of high school. They got to experience life and they got to understand who they are better.
Yes.
So now as they go to college, they're more sure at what they're doing.
We're aware.
Yeah, yeah, and I think even though you understand there's like a science course you may have to take, and you're like, "Well, why do I have to take the science course?" You get that it's like, "Okay, it's a part of it. Let me just take the science course, and I can go back to all of my social media marketing courses that make me happy." But
Exactly.
I think being in college, like when I did it through, it's like, "Okay, I'm just doing this because it's what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's gonna make my parents happy." But I think going forward, once I have kids, I don't think I'm gonna push my kids to go to college. I think I'm gonna tell them, like, explore, take a gap year. I know it's very popular in foreign countries, and
Mhm.
I see why, because you don't know who you are. We've been in school for 18 years straight. You need some time to get to know yourself and what you really wanna do with your life.
Mhm. I agree.
So, you started off as a blogger, then you went on to be a style editor?
Yeah, I guess editor, yeah, so they had me the columnist, the style columnist is what they called it. I would contribute to their style page every week. I was the one writing for them. So yeah, I did that for a little while, and then, unfortunately I had to move. So it was like a little less than a year, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, but sometimes, things all happen for a reason.
Mhm.
I do want to point out that you being a mom, I think you definitely break a lot of stereotypes of what a mom should be doing or what a mom is.
Mhm.
Not that there's a right or wrong with being a mom, but I want to congratulate you because one, you're a mom, two, you're doing it alone for unfortunate reasons.
Mhm.
Three, you're in school, which I didn't even realize you were in school, but you're in school, you just started a business. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're also an influencer among so many other things. How do you stay sane through it all? Because through COVID, I have friends who are parents, and I know they're going crazy with just them dealing with like work and kids, but like you're doing so much. So, how are you staying sane to like get it all through and recently just launch a business during COVID?
So I think the fact that I am like financially like stable, like I think that plays a big part. Money isn't everything, but after my husband passed away, things just kind of like aligned in our favor. So therefore I didn't have to work a full-time job. Like I'm fine. So I think having that in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, my bills are gonna be paid every month. My rent is paid for. Like all I gotta focus on right now is my mental health, my children, and what I'm going to do next in my life. My dad told me this after my husband passed away because I was a mess. I was for several months. Like I was depressed and I kind of quit social media at first. And he's like, you need to find something that is going to help you rediscover yourself. And he's like, don't think too much about it. Just take it day by day. You're in school because I actually enrolled into college like 3 weeks after my husband passed away. So focus on these couple of classes you're taking and do something for you, because by me focusing on me I will be able to be a better parent as well, and I'll just feel better about myself. So that's when I started going to the gym. I had never no, I lied. Once in my life, I think I was pregnant with my first, I had a gym membership. I never used it. So this was the first time I actually took it serious. It was actually like a year ago, last December. I took it serious and it worked as a form of therapy. So doing that, exercising, working on my health, my body, and just taking life day by day, staying productive, like going to school, and just focusing literally just on myself and my children. That in itself kept me sane. I mean, obviously, like I am a religious person. I'm a Christian, so I do believe in God, and lots of prayer really helped me, keep some peace of mind. Not to say that I have my shit together, because everyone looks at me and like from the outside looking in, that's what everyone thinks. They're like, wow, she's doing so much. She is such a strong person, which I am, but like I'm human, and it gets pretty bad around here. Like people don't see the Diana late at night after the kids fall asleep and I break down. You know what I mean? So a little mix of all that just keeps me going every single day.
No, I definitely agree. And I think to your last point, the fact that we're both cancers, I think it has maybe something to do with being a cancer because even though we're emotional creatures, I was actually just telling a friend,
Hmm.
sometimes I don't like to always show my emotions to other people because it's seen as, oh, you're being very emotional or oh, this, that, and the third.
Hmm.
And I think it's we all react to things differently. And I think as cancers, the fact that we act in a very emotional way, we don't want other people to think that it's like a drama scene that we're
Right,
putting on.
girl.
It's
I don't exactly. That's the last thing I want people to think like,
yeah,
"Oh, she's being dramatic," or like, I don't like feeling vulnerable.
no, it's yeah,
I'm not
yes.
I'm learning to be comfortable with like vulnerability now, since like I lost David, but that's something I've struggled with. Just feeling vulnerable or like people feeling sorry for me. Like I don't like that. I don't want people to feel bad for me.
Mhm.
So therefore, like you said, sometimes like I don't really show my emotions, even though I have so much emotion deep down. I'm like a water bag. My moon is in Scorpio too. So, girl, I'm just like, I'm such a baby. I'm like a water baby.
You are literally speaking my mind right now. I think it's so hard because I'm in that same season right now where I think I need to be more vulnerable in my relationships,
Yeah,
but it's the fact of finding the sweet spot of being vulnerable, but also not being taken advantage of.
exactly.
So, that's my current, like, struggle and trying to figure out. So, after the passing of your husband, you focus on your health and now you launch this new fitness brand.
Yes.
What led you from the transition of, okay, health is becoming like a big part of me because I do want to really quickly touch on that and say that I think a year after me moving or a few months after me moving to New York City, I started going to the gym. And
Mhm.
same as you, I definitely resonated and felt that same way. It gave me a sense of purpose. And I think no matter what, no matter how busy my day is, the gym is like my one time that I know is going to be my me time. So
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
definitely understand that. But, what led you to finally say, "Okay, I've done all these things. I'm a blogger, a mom, I'm a wife. I've also been a digital media manager. You've done so much. So what led you to say, "Okay, now I wanna open my own business and have my own fitness line?"
For several years actually, I knew that I wanted to launch a business. Even when I did have my blog, I'm like, Mother Soul is great and everything as a blog, but I need this to turn into a business. It's already a brand. It's an established brand, so I need it to yeah, turn into some kind of business where I can sell something or like do something. So because I said earlier, I am like huge on self-care, I thought, well, maybe like I'll do like a self-care shop, like your one stop for like all self-care things. And it sounded great, right? Like such a great idea. It's something I really love, something I'm really great at. I know a lot about skincare, about, just like wellness and stuff. So I'm like, this will be great. But it never happened. Like, when they say like when the cards are just aligned for you, they just do. Like it's crazy because at that point in my life, I even like made my own little skincare mask and everything. Like I was ready to go, but it never happened. And this is why I feel like timing can be so divine, because now at this point I was like, okay, I'm in school. I'm a business management major. I'm thinking about being like a marketing director, right? All these thoughts are in my head. Meanwhile, I'm also praying to God to like for him to help me like illuminate my path and just kind of clear my way and let me know what it is that I need to do. And being that I work out all the time, I'm like always in workout clothes. And because of COVID, like we don't really go out much. So I'm always in loungewear as well. So I was talking about it with my friend. I think she's the one that brought it up to me. She's like, we should do this together. Like we should like sell like have our own brand or something. I'm like, yeah, like that sounds good. But she's kind of like in a different headspace. So like she didn't really go through with the idea of it, but it stayed with me. And I'm like, wow, like yeah, like it would be awesome if I could launch something right now. But I'm like, people are probably struggling, like they're not gonna buy from me. I don't even know where to start. I've never even like had a clothing brand before. Like this is completely different than what I wanted. I just thought about David. He told me once, he was like, if I passed away, or I don't know how it happened, but we were talking about him if he passed away, like if I would still continue to do what I love. At that moment, we were talking about Mother Soul. And I told him I couldn't, I was like, there's no way I could continue with even my social media presence if you passed away, because I'm like, this is something we kind of built together, even though like I'm the face of it, but you've been behind the scenes. And he's like, that's so stupid. Like it's something you're so great at and you're passionate about it. And when you're passionate about it, you do so well. And he's like, you should never stop doing what you love, even if like something awful like that happened to me. So that stayed with me, and I'm like, you know what? I discontinued my blog for other reasons, but I mean, he was the main reason. I felt like it was over. Mother Soul was over, but I'm like, this is the beginning of something new. And one day after the gym, I think I posted a caption on Facebook and I was like, feminine but strong or something, because I'm super girly, but I also find strength and being strong like very attractive. So I was like, feminine strong. And I thought about that name and I'm like, how can I shorten that to make it like a brand, to make it like a movement? And then I thought, femme strong, like femme, it's French for woman, femme strong. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is it. So from there, I started doing research. I started speaking to different like manufacturers and like vendors and suppliers. And it all just came about. My vision, I kid you not, Sheba, like it was like one thing after another. Like God just aligned everything for me. And it was like right there in front of my face. And I remember talking to a guy that I'm really close to. And I'm like, I think I want to do this. And he's like, it's right in front of your face. He's like, invest now. He's like, just do it now. And he's kind of the one that gave me that extra little push. He's like, you're going to do great. He's like, just do it. He's like, David would want you to. And I was like, yeah, F it. I'm going to do it. So I did it. And that's where I am now.
Thank God for friends like that that see your vision and push you towards it, you
I
know?
out of everyone, he's been like my rock since David passed away, and he's been like my main supporter. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you just remind me so much of David, because David was always very supportive about everything that I did. And like even though I'm a self-starter, I'm a motivator, but I love reassurance, cancer thing. We love that reassurance. So like having him right there in my ear, just like egging me on and hyping me up and like seeing that potential in me, that's really what said, like, all right, like this is it. Like this is what I got to do. So yes, I am very thankful for people like him.
No, and I do agree with you that when the cards align, you will know because everything just falls into place.
Mhm.
You will still have hurdles, you will still have challenges, but it's still like to me, it's almost like it's a challenge or a hurdle to push you into the next level of yourself versus something that's trying to stop you and say, like, this isn't the path you need to take. So I feel like trusting your intuition, you'll get where you need to go.
Oh, 100%, 110%.
So I did want to ask, obviously we've been in a pandemic and like you said, you were like, well, people are probably struggling, which I will say back again to me being a little nerdy, reading the news, but online sales are definitely up
Mhm.
this past pandemic. So, yes, people are struggling, but there are some people that are using retail therapy to get them through. So,
Oh, that's great.
what I will say is aside from that, what were other roadblocks or reasons why you I don't wanna say weren't gonna start the brand, but come in the middle of you starting the brand, what were some of them and how did you overcome them to get it started?
You're saying like for this business, right? For Fem Strong.
Yes, with them strong.
Being like a single parent, to be honest with you, like I have never I never like expected me to be in like these shoes that I am now. I mean, my family, they have helped tremendously. They've helped me with Caden and Eli, but at the end of the day, like they're my kids and they're here with me and I'm responsible for them and I am literally doing this like without a partner. So just trying to find time, like timing was every like the time, like time management really. Like I remember like I would sit there in the room and I'd be like, okay, if I can work on my brand this and this day, I could work on like my school assignments this and that day. And then Kaden gets out of this day. Cause I'm very type A when it comes to like organizing my day and like just organizing my life, period. I have lists for everything. So it was just trying to see whether or not I was going to actually have time for the brand. And to be honest with you, I failed to mention this earlier, but I had been applying for jobs. Like I have been, well, not anymore, but prior to me launching, I was applying to so many different jobs. And my resume, it's like A1, like it's a really good resume. I've never had an issue landing a job. And girl, like no one called me back. There was one instance last year. They wanted me to work from home and it seemed perfect, but their hours sucked so bad. It was later in the afternoon when the kids are here. So I couldn't do that, so I knew that job wasn't for me. So other than that, like all these other jobs that I had been applying to, no, I didn't hear back. And I would follow up and I wouldn't hear back. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. At that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm just trusting the process. And I guess this isn't meant for me. So I'm really thankful that I don't have a full-time job and I can like focus completely, on my business and figure out time management because like I said that was probably like my biggest struggle, like having to do everything on my own and manage my time.
And I think with the statement you just said that you were applying the jobs, I think it goes back to our conversation a little earlier that with this generation, sometimes we're just not meant to have the full-time job. Like I'm grateful for
Mhm.
my full-time job. I'm not downing it.
Mhm.
I am still a full-time worker, but yes, certain markets can be oversaturated, but I still feel that each person has something that they bring to the table. There are so many different fitness brands, but hearing your story and the reason why your brand is called what it is, that will make someone resonate with it differently versus going to like the generic brands that we all know and love.
Exactly.
So while I think it's great to be a part of these jobs, I think I was actually just looking at a tweet earlier. I forgot what it said. I think it said like, "Oh, someone may need to hear a message and you're the one that needs to give it to them, but you're too afraid to share it."
Mhm.
So, I think that yes, having the 9 to 5 job is great, but if there's something else in your heart that you wanna do or see, make it happen because you never know who you may be inspiring or who may also resonate with your message. Like, you never know. And I'm sure you probably know from blogging, some people won't even like comment on your stuff, but they'll private message you or tell you like years later, oh my gosh, your blog, or when you did this post, or something would have resonated with them, which is why they follow or engage with your content. And it's made them feel less alone in this world. So,
Mhm. Mhm, and
yeah.
that is the entire purpose, the Fem Strong's mission, to inspire, like, that beauty and resilience, and to encourage, women to be confident and empower them despite their struggles and obstacles that they've had to go through in life, because I feel like, and no one has a perfect life. We've all gone through some shit. Some of us, probably deeper than others.
Mhm.
But at the same time, there's always been something that has discouraged us, or something that's happened in our lives that has broken us, but we've gotten back up. And I just wanted this brand to be for all those women who believe in themselves, or even who don't, who are currently struggling and believing in themselves, but like they feel inspired because of the brand. So I didn't want my clothing brand to be like any other shop. I'm not downing any other shop. I'm sure they have like something special and unique about them as well. But I just wanted to tell a story with my particular brand.
And I do wanna say, like, I thought when I first saw your brand, I thought the name was very interesting, but I think hearing your story, it helps make me resonate with it more because I identify as someone who's very girly, but I move through life very independently. Like I moved to New York by myself. And I remember when I first moved here, people were like, oh my gosh, you moved by yourself. Like as if a woman couldn't move to another state alone.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
I think it just shows that there are other women out there who we have to put on our big girl panties. And yeah, we may be doing it in heels, but we're gonna be the strong person that we are and still be sexy or pretty or girly or beautiful while doing it. So
mhm.
I definitely can resonate with that.
Yes.
So for someone who may be interested in shopping with your brand, what are some of the products or things they can find? And what are some things that may be coming down the pipeline if you do want to share?
Of course. Yeah. So this is strictly an athleisure brand. So I didn't want it to be like like exclusively like fitness because my audience aren't these fit girls. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to like target like fit women who go to the gym and they're like, gym junkies. Like that's not really my audience. I want everyday regular women, to wear my clothes. If they go to the gym, awesome. But it's more like lounge wear, things that you can wear to the gym or literally just lounge around all day or like run errands in all day. I make sure that it's, really nice quality, high quality yet affordable, really trendy clothes. And as of right now, we've had our best seller, which is the all black femme set. And these are words from like customers. They have told me that when they put this set on, they literally feel confidence. Like they feel like they love themselves. They love how they look in it. And just knowing that they're supporting a brand that also includes them, like it just makes them feel, like empowered, really. Like that's the word, even though it's so cliche, but that's the word that it is that they feel. And as far as like new arrivals, I'm gonna have more sets coming later this month. Or actually maybe this week even. I have to check the tracking. But yeah, I'll have like different sets. And I'm not into like the bright bold colors. I like more like muted tones. That's just my style. So that's what you can, expect in my shop. Like, tones like blacks and grays and beiges and like a blush pink or like that powder blue. Just, soft tones like that.
No, yeah, and I definitely resonate with that with some being someone who goes to the gym. Winter is upon us in New York City. So some mornings when you get out of bed, you just want to throw on something that's comfortable, get your workout done, and come back home, take a shower, and get back in bed. So
Everyone raves about this fem set, but honestly, like our leggings are to die for because they're just like that perfect thick material, but they're super soft, but at the same time, like they're just very breathable and they're perfect like to go to the gym in and work out hardcore, but also super nice to like relax in. So those are like my literal like essential leggings. I love them so much.
oh yes, I'm sure I've definitely seen you like on Instagram lounging in them and you look really comfortable in them. Like
They're
just
super tight, like, they are really nice and tight, but they're comfortable. It's, like, the weirdest combination, but I'm so in love. Yeah, they're great, honestly.
So, switching gears up a little bit with the conversation, earlier you said all of what has happened to you has inspired you to be the person that you are today or to do the things you're doing.
Mhm,
So I think the challenge that I'm facing personally is finding what is my purpose in life? What am I doing? What will be my stamp on this earth? How has the things that have happened in your life that led you to where you are today, how has it helped you to get to where you are to be able to feel inspired to also one give inspiration? Because I think one thing you said when you touched on like your husband's passing is and when you guys had that conversation was I wouldn't be able to do it and when we think about things that we know may happen one day eventually, but sometimes they come sooner than we expect,
mhm.
and it has, like, a negative connotation around it, you don't know what this new life is gonna be like. And I think, like, from the outside looking in, I'm sure you definitely broke down a lot of times, alone, but how are you able to keep pushing through, inspire yourself, but also be able to pour into others and inspire them as well?
I think the fact that I am learning to be me again this time, it's been about a year and almost a year and a half now that I've been alone. it hasn't all been awful. I have definitely seen like the tender mercies and like the blessings in being alone as well, such as rediscovering myself, like who I am as an individual, as a woman. I was married since I was 20, so I was really young. And I just had to go dig back down to the root of like who I am, like that core foundation of what it is that I want to do with my life. And honestly, like it all went back to where I was like when I was with David. Like I loved inspiring women. I loved sharing my story. Like I said, I have an entrepreneur spirit. I knew that I wanted to create something meaningful. So I think being alone and coming back to that mindset, I was like, okay, like this is obviously like what I'm meant to do, because they say if you can't stop thinking about something, you got to do it. Like if it's on your mind, it's there for a reason. So I knew at that point, I'm like, okay, like this is truly what I want to do, because after he did pass away, I quit social media. I tried to like share my grieving journey, because a lot of other widows they started to follow me because of hashtags and stuff. And I was like, well, maybe, I can help them. Maybe I can help others who have experienced like loss. But I couldn't take it. I couldn't take the pressure of being on social media. So for a few months, like I was only on there periodically, and I felt very lost. I didn't know what it is that I wanted to do. I just thought, going to school, then maybe I'll at a later time becoming a director is what I wanted to do. But no, like I said, I took time for myself, and I'm really grateful for it, because it brought me back to that. I want to inspire. And I think like just going back to my why every single day, reminding myself what it is that I want to do, looking at my kids and knowing that I want to give them a greater future, like all that is what keeps me inspired. And I know that many women would be able to relate, in their own way.
I think that last statement you just said is remembering your why. I think that's the most important because some of the stuff you said is very cancery, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the season I'm in as a Cancer is I feel like I'm always the person that's giving, 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 not necessarily looking for anything in return, but it's like, oh my gosh, this person's going through this. I've been through that. Let me help them. But I think sometimes as Cancers, we need to almost step back and help ourselves.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's not coming from like a malicious place or an evil place. It's just like, how can I pour into your cup if my cup isn't even poured into, you know?
Exactly. Like, I don't think, like, how could I, right? Like, I felt like I was in such a bad place in my life. Like, I didn't know if I was really inspiring or not. Like, I just didn't feel a purpose at that point. So, like us Cancers, we go right back into our shell and we take some time to, do what it is that we need to do to feel like ourselves again. And honestly, I'm not who I was before I lost him, but there are a lot of things, like things that I genuinely love, that I still do love, you know what I mean? Now I just go about it in a different way. Like my approach to it is different now because of what I went through.
Exactly. And I think maybe one day you will be, and I do believe this, like, I'm not saying this trying to be nice or anything, I do genuinely believe this. I do think that one day you will be able to be that support for other women, but I think right now, and I don't know you, like, on a day-to-day basis, but I think it's really more so focusing on you and your children and trying to figure out what this new normal is
Mhm.
gonna be like for you guys, and it's gonna change every day, and especially as your kids get older, because I'm sure they're gonna ask you questions about their dad and just like, different things. But I think it's take time for yourself, like you come before anyone else. Like you said earlier, you come before anyone else. And how can you even show up as a good mother if you can't even, like, if you're not fully there?
Exactly.
So, but I definitely resonate with what you said. And going back to the why, I think that's most important because I think one of the things aside from my own self pushing myself with whether or not I want to be a full-time content creator, I think it's also that a lot of people come to social media and want to pursue a career because they think, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to get famous and I'm going to have like all this money and I'm going to get free stuff." And that's great. That's a great perk to me, but I think it's more so that my goal with being a content creator is to inspire someone, whether it's them saying, "Oh my gosh, because of you, I decided to go back to school," or because of you, I decided to move to this state because it was where I always wanted to live and I wanted to pursue a career in that. that makes me feel more fulfilled rather than getting the
Right,
free
it's
stuff
not in
or
it for the surface level. You wanna go deeper than that, you wanna actually create content with, like, a lot of substance that others can relate to. And there's an
yes.
and I feel like there's an audience for everything. Those people that just wanna focus on, like, the material things and surface level content, like, that's fine because, people feel inspired by pretty things as well, you know what I'm saying? But I this must be like a cancer thing or something because I was always like an inspirational blogger. Like I never wanted to be just like a style blogger showing my day-to-day outfits or something. I wanted to give my audience something deeper, that they can relate to and feel motivated by. Something that can actually like change their lives.
Yes, that last part changed their lives because like you said, there is people that do love the pretty things. Don't let me fool you. I love the pretty things too, but
Mhm.
I think it's definitely just finding the why because it's the same where if you apply to a job, why you're applying to this job because you need money, great. But like after a year of working there, are you still going to work there? Are you going to be looking for another job because it's not fulfilling or it's not making you happy? So definitely sit down and construct that why because it's very important.
It is literally, I think, like the life, of like whatever it is that you want to do, like that's what's going to give it life. Your why.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as the podcast is titled Pour Into My Cup, one of the questions that I like to ask in every podcast episode, how do you manage to keep a full cup? I know we've talked about like self-care, doing things for yourself. If you want to go in a little bit more detail, on days when your cup is half empty, how do you manage to keep it half full or get it back up there?
To be completely honest, through prayer, God is the one that has really brought this strength in me out of nowhere. So whenever I do feel like I have my down days, I get stubborn, of course, and even sometimes, I have my doubts, but at the end of the day, I humble myself and I pray. And that has really, really changed my perspective on a lot of things. So, through God and also through a couple of like my closest friends, I'll call them on my bad days and I'll just break down to them. And they're the type of friends that are going to fill that cup back up for you because you currently can't at the moment yourself. And yeah, basically those two because my kids, like seeing them, they make me happy and everything, but they're little kids. Like my oldest is 5, my youngest is 3. I'm not going to pour my problems out to them, and you know what I mean, like they're little kids, like they have to be kids. I need to allow them to be kids. So when it comes to those days where I feel bad, like I said, I'll either turn to God or I'll turn to a couple of my best friends, and that always does it for me.
I understand what you're going through, but I haven't gone through that, so I can give my sympathy, but I can also understand and sit with you and talk with you, but I think that's really tough where your kids are so young and they're worried about like games, the newest like maybe I don't know if the oldest one is old enough to play the PS5, but they're worried about kid things. They're not worried about some of the things that may have transpired over the past few months. So it's tough, but it's like you said, the support system is what's important because that's how you get through. But, not trying to always bring up the cancer thing, but I just think as a cancer,
Girl,
it's
I am
sometimes
like
where you're just like,
totally
I
into zodiacs. Like
it
I love talking astrology. So please, you're not bringing it up enough.
that one time you came to New York, we did talk a little bit about it, but it's so true, but it's like, as a Cancer, you just don't wanna always feel like you're putting your burdens on others,
Oh my
even
gosh.
though they say like, "Oh, yeah, talk to me." It's just
Mhm.
like, thank you, but I'm still not gonna talk to you, I'm just gonna figure it out myself."
Yes, like David was a Capricorn and he was the same. He was worse than me. Oh my gosh. Never wanted to feel like a burden. He was not okay with vulnerability at all. So yeah, like I feel like in a way we kind of have like that Capricorn tendency. I mean, I'm a Capricorn rising. I don't know if that has anything to do with why I am the way that I am, but I completely like agree to that. Like I'm not always okay or comfortable talking to others about my problems.
That's very ironic that you bring up the Capricorn because I was literally talking to my friend about how I was dating a Capricorn. And it's funny because I think that Capricorns are Cancers, but just the logical version.
Oh my
And
god,
what I mean
yes.
by that is I think Yes, I think cancers, when we make decisions out of emotions.
Right.
Like, okay, how can I make this person feel most comfortable? What decision is gonna make this person more happy? And I think Capricorns are like, okay, what's gonna save me the most money? What's gonna save the most time? What's gonna be the best logically? Like,
Right, right. Uh-huh.
and I think for me, that's where me and the guy, like, I realized after we stopped talking, that's where we butted heads because is not that we never had bad blood, like, it wasn't ever anything bad, it was just like, "Wait, we're both trying to, like, accommodate the other person, but we're both doing it in a different way, but for the same end goal." And I think as a Cancer, I know you're a mother, but I think even though I don't have children, I think no matter what, we just want everyone to feel, like, comfortable around us, so it's just like, "Okay, is everyone good?"
We're just naturally nurturing.
Yeah, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
The final question, is there anything that I didn't ask that you would like to say or share with the listeners?
Yeah, well, this is kind of like it's like an interview question, but I feel like a lot of people ask it like, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, have you thought that far ahead? I don't know, maybe a question like that.
But
But
it's like, no, I'm just trying to get through COVID right now.
right, that's what I was gonna say to you. I'm like, even if you would have asked me, where do I see myself in 5 years? I wouldn't have been answered at this point because I thought I had my life figured out. I thought, I had a vision for like my next 10 years and everything. And that was completely, thrown out the window. So I live my life differently now. And it's kind of hard at times because it is difficult because I'm kind of like a type A person too. I like to have like a long-term vision, but now I'm just like focusing on what's right in front of me. So I'm really not thinking 5 years down the road. Yeah. I just asked myself that question and answered it.
No, like I really need to take that advice because I'm like I'm still thinking like, okay, a year from now I'm gonna be like hopefully in France or some foreign country because we'll be done with COVID. But yeah, I need to just take it day by day.
Yeah, because your expectations will ruin you, honestly. Because at this point, like, I don't want to sound like cynical or something, but you really have no idea what can happen a year from now.
It's so true though. It's so true.
Mhm. Literally, my life went from one thing to nothing, like, in a matter of, like, a few hours, so that really stayed with me, and it's kinda traumatizing to this day, and I do keep, like, a long-term vision, don't get me wrong, like, I do know what I wanna do, and
Mhm.
I'm working at it each day, but I'm not thinking too much about it, I'm not really setting myself up to these expectations because we don't really know.
Yeah, and I think that's the key is same as you, I still have the vision board, I'm still setting goals, but I think it's more so that this little catchphrase I've been using is that I'm not married to it. I'm more so just like, okay, this is the goal. I do want to see this through,
Mhm.
but I'm not going to be disappointed if it doesn't happen next week, you know?
Exactly.
And I say that to say, like, it's not like I don't set a time frame for my goals. I think it's just that if something happens where I'm not able to meet it, I reflect and I'm like, okay, what happened over the past month or week that intervened with me setting this goal? Maybe I need to give myself like a little wiggle room. So
Mhm.
it's not like I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna have this goal and 10 years later, whoops, I still have the same goal, you
Right,
know.
you need to take initiative and action, but you need to be gentle with yourself, like, that's what I'm doing too, like, I'm nicer to myself, and I'm
Exactly.
not gonna overwork myself either, like, I'm just enjoying it, enjoying same with, like, my fitness journey, like, I'm trying to get, like, real deal slim thick here, and I'm obviously not where I wanna be, even a year, I do see a difference, but I'm like, "Dang," like, I'm not really where I wanna be, but it's okay, I'm enjoying the process. I've gained a little bit of extra fat because I'm on a calorie surplus, but it's okay. It's all for I'm working towards that long term goal, so I'm just enjoying my like the process.
And that's all you have to do, especially when it comes to fitness, because I remember when I first started, I had certain goals, but as I got more into it and my body changed, my goals changed. And I was just like, okay, I wanted this, but I'm getting this, but then this is also happening. There's just so much you have to like research, learn, and just like figure out. So
Mhm.
be patient and take it one step at a time. Don't feel bad if you have those days where you cheat or you eat something that you probably shouldn't because if you eat a cookie once, it's not in the world. It's not like if you ate a cookie every day for the rest of the week, that may be like, okay, it depending on your fitness goal, that may be
Exactly.
throwing you off. But
I'm not restricting myself. I mean, I'm not eating cake like you said every week either, but like if I want to have cake tomorrow, like on Friday, I will. And like I'm not going to deprive myself because life is too short. Honestly, like I don't want to feel miserable. Be able to work towards my goals, be consistent, but also, like have some be lenient as well.
same, same. Oh, I can't wait to get back into the gym. Oh my gosh. That's a conversation for a different day.
Yeah, I feel really blessed, honestly, that our gyms are open here and I get to go.
Yeah, New York City gyms are open. I just haven't gone yet. They've been charging me since October, I think.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I just don't have the motivation to work out at home. So
Same. When COVID first started, I just couldn't do that. I was like, no, this is not happening.
mhm.
But to wrap up conversation, if you want to go ahead and share your social media handles for your personal as well as your business and where people can shop your collection.
Yeah, sure thing. So my personal handle is at Diana.Samantha, and that's on Instagram. For my business account, it's just at Shop Femstrong, and that's Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest. So my website is shopfemstrong.com. Super easy.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this conversation. I can't wait to share it with everyone. And I'm happy we were able to finally get this done. Can't wait until the next episode to get your cup filled? Follow us on our social media platforms for daily inspiration at Pour Into My Cup. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to stay updated when new episodes are released. Leave a review and pour into someone else's cup by sharing the podcast. And I have to ask, is your cup half empty or half full? Peace, love, happiness, Rashiba signing off.